Welcome students. Now in this part we study magnetism part 2. Topics which we are studying here: terrestrial magnetism, elements of Earth's magnetic field, tangent law, properties of para and ferromagnetic substances, Curie law in magnetism and hysteresis in magnetism. So first we talk about terrestrial magnetism. First we talk about geographic axis in this. What is geographic axis? Axis is a straight line passing through the geographical poles of the Earth. It is the axis of rotation of the Earth. It is also known as polar axis. Geographic meridian at any place is a vertical plane passing through the geographic axis north and south poles of the Earth. Geographic equator is a great circle on the surface of the Earth in a plane perpendicular to the geographic axis. All the points on the geographic equator are at equal distance from the geographic poles. Magnetic axis is a straight line passing through the magnetic poles of the Earth. It is inclined to geographic axis nearly at any angle of 17 degree. Magnetic meridian at any place is a vertical plane passing through the magnetic north and south poles of the Earth. Magnetic equator is a great circle on the surface of the Earth in a plane perpendicular to the magnetic axis. All the points of the magnetic equator are at equal distances from the magnetic poles. Now what is declination? There is one geographic meridian. This is magnetic meridian, and angle between them is declination, angle of declination. So it is written also the angle between the magnetic meridian and the geographic meridian at a place is declination at that point. It varies from place to place. Line shows on the map through the places that have the same declination are called isogonic line. Line drawn through the places that have zero declination is called agonic lines. Dip or inclination del. There is magnetic field B. Angle between this magnetic field and horizontal component of magnetic meridian is actually angle of declination or depth. There is a horizontal component BH of Earth's magnetic field, and there is a vertical component BB. So the angle between the horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field and the Earth's resultant magnetic field at a place is dip or inclination at that place. It is 0 at the equator and 90 degree at the poles. Lines drawn upon a map through places that have the same dip are called isoclinic lines. The line drawn through the place that have zero dip is called aclinic line. It is the magnetic equator. The horizontal components of Earth's magnetic field BH. The total intensity of Earth's magnetic field does not lie in any horizontal plane. Instead, it lies along the direction at an angle dip del to the horizontal. The component of Earth's magnetic field along the horizontal at an angle del is called horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field. Horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field is B cos del, and vertical component is B sin del, and the total will be under root of B square S square plus B square V. Now what tangent law says? You can say there is a two magnetic field B1 and B2, and B is the resultant of them. If a magnetic needle is suspended in a region where two uniform magnetic fields are perpendicular to each other, the needle will align itself along the direction of the resultant field of the two fields at an angle theta, such that the tangent of the angle is the ratio of the two fields. Tan theta will be B2 by B1. Now we compare the di, para and ferromagnetic materials here beta. Now if we go with the comparison di, para and ferro, diamagnetic substances are those substances which are feebly repelled by a magnet. Example we have taken antimony, bismuth, copper, gold, silver, quartz, mercury, alcohol, water, hydrogen, air, argon, etc. Whereas in paramagnetic substances are those substances which are feebly attracted by a magnet. It is aluminium, chromium, alkali and alkaline earth metals, platinum, oxygen, etc. Ferromagnetic substances are those substances which are strongly attracted by a magnet: iron, cobalt, nickel, gadolinium, dysprosium, etc. Now In dia, when placed in magnetic field, the line forces tend to avoid the substance. In para, the line forces prefer to pass through the substance rather than air. The line of forces tend to crowd it into the specimen. As you can see, they are passing. No line of forces passing through it. In this para, few are passing, few are going out. And most of them are passing basically. Few are going out. Where in ferro, all will pass maximum, and will be crowded enough. Clear? Now another is, when placed in non-uniform magnetic field, it moves from stronger to weaker field, Fibli repulsion. Now when placed in non-uniform magnetic field, it moves from weaker to stronger field, Fibli attraction. When placed in non-uniform magnetic field, it moves from weaker to stronger field, strong attraction it means. Again with the next comparison, third one. When a diamagnetic rod is freely suspended in a uniform magnetic field, it aligns itself in a direction perpendicular to the field. When a paramagnetic rod is freely suspended in a uniform magnetic field, it aligns itself in a direction parallel to the field. When a paramagnetic rod is freely suspended in a uniform magnetic field, it aligns itself in a direction parallel to the field very quickly. As you can see also, in the first case it is placed in north-south pole, then it will be like this. In case of this, if this is placed in the magnetic field, you can see that it is mostly aligned. And in the case of ferro, if it is so, it will quickly align. Clear? Now, if diamagnetic liquid taken in a watch glass is placed in uniform magnetic field, it collects away from the center where the magnetic poles are closer and collects at the center where the magnetic fields are farther. If paramagnetic liquid taken in a watch glass is placed in uniform magnetic field, it collects at the center when the magnetic poles are closer and collects away from the center when the magnetic poles are farther. If ferromagnetic liquid is taken in a watch glass is placed in a uniform magnetic field, it collects at the center when the magnetic poles are closer and collects away from the center when the magnetic poles are further. As you can see, that is it also. If magnetic field is strong, they will move apart. Where magnetic field is weak, because magnets are far apart, it will be at center. In case of para, where they are close, it will try to accumulate there only. And if it far about, it will move towards the pole where magnetic field is strong. In case of ferro, again the same property will see like paramagnetic substances. Now the fifth one, when a diamagnetic substance is placed in a magnetic field, it is weakly magnetized in the direction opposite to the inducing field. Next, when a paramagnetic substance is placed in a magnetic field, it is weakly magnetized in the direction of the inducing field. Next is, when a ferromagnetic substance is placed in a magnetic field, it is strongly magnetized in the direction of the inducing field. Now induced dipole moment is a small, it has a negative value. Induced dipole moment M is small but it has a positive value. Induced dipole moment is very large and it has a positive value. Intensity of magnetization I has a very small value and it is negative also. Intensity of magnetization has a small positive value. Intensity of magnetization has a large positive value. Magnetic permeability mu is always less than unity. Magnetic permeability mu is more than unity. Magnetic permeability mu is large, that is much more than unity. Magnetic susceptibility Cm is a small and negative value. Magnetic susceptibility Cm has a small but positive value. Magnetic susceptibility has a large but positive value also. Now the 10th difference is they do not obey Curie law, that is their properties do not change with temperature. Now para obey, actually they obey Curie law. They lost their magnetic property with rise in temperature. They obey Curie law at a certain temperature called Curie point. They lose ferromagnetic properties and behave like a paramagnetic substances. What Curie law says, magnetic susceptibility of a material varies inversely with the absolute temperature. I is directly proportional to H and inversely proportional to T, or I is directly proportional to H, inversely proportional to 1 by T. Like this we can say I by H is inversely proportional to 1 by T. So I by H is actually your Curie constant, which is Cm, is directly proportional to 1 by T, and this Cm is equal to C by T, and C is a Curie constant. Curie temperature for iron is 1000 Kelvin, for cobalt is 1400 Kelvin, for nickel 600 Kelvin. I and H by T we have seen along x-axis, y-axis we have taken I, whereas along x-axis we have taken H by T. If we plot the graph, we will get it like this. Now the next part and very important part of this is hysteresis loop or magnetization curve. We will plot the graph between I and H, and you will find, if you plot, you will get this kind of curve. So intensity of magnetization I increases with increase in magnetizing force H initially through OA and reaches around saturation at A. When H is decreased, I decrease, but it does not come to 0 at H is equal to 0. The residual magnetism I set up in the material represented by OB is called retentivity. To bring I to 0, to demagnetize completely, opposite negative magnetizing force is applied. This magnetization force represented by OC is called corrosivity. After reaching the saturation level D, when the magnetizing force is reversed, the curve closes to the point A, completing a cycle. The loop ABCDEA is called hysteresis loop. The area of the loop gives the loss of energy due to the cycle of magnetization and demagnetization and is dissipated in the form of heat. The metal like iron having a thin loop is used for making temporary magnets, and that with thick loop like steel used for permanent magnets. Like you can see, this is the alignment hysteresis loop here. Now this is the end of the magnetism part 2, and please go through this slide again and again. It's a theoretical concept, you have to learn it concept. It will be only happen when you go through the slide again. Thank you so much.